welcome to part 2, if I can ever fixate the camera. There we go. Okay, today I'm going to be taking a look at the games that I've included on the 84-in-1. As you can see, if I press the select button, you'll see that there are in fact 84 games. Most of them are Famicom games. There are a couple of pirated games. There are a few hacks on here as well. In fact, one of them you might notice on this page. And let's start. The first game on here is called Nagagutsu Ohoita Nico. So you can kind of see why they just called it 80 days on the menu. Now this game is basically a really bad platformer, as I will show here. In fact, I'll probably turn the sound down so you can hear my voice clearly. There we go. We start. You'll notice that the physics are less than perfect. Basically, it's just bleh. I don't know, that's just my opinion in general with this game. Probably the biggest problem is that the game doesn't tell you, like, there's barely any indication when you get hit. I mean, true, you will see the enemy hit you and then sort of like fall. But I don't know, when I first played this, I actually thought that like I magically killed the enemy, because the game doesn't really notify you all that well. As you can see, the graphics, they're not that bad, but at the same time not great either. Music is somewhat annoying, as you might have noticed, and the gameplay is annoying as hell because of the way it's designed. The enemies seem to move around completely at random, for the most part at least, and yeah, overall not a great game. You'll also notice, well, you may notice when I get to a more well-known game at least, that the games themselves aren't, well, they run slower than they're supposed to. So if we take a look at 1942, which is a much better known game, and I've just got a message on Skype. So better pause the game for a second. Hello and welcome back to the 84-in-1 review, where I am trying to have a Skype conversation at the same time and failing miserably. But anyway, as you can see, 1942 is a pretty good shooter. It's a bit slow on this 84-in-1, although you can kind of blame my TV for that, because this TV is like, well, to put it simply, it is a PAL TV. And the problem with PAL TVs are that with old games like these, they tend to run slower than they should. I'm not entirely sure how it works. I think, if I remember correctly, I'm kind of a noob when it comes to hardware, but if I remember correctly, the console that this is running is PAL, and the TV is PAL. So I'm not entirely sure why the games run this slow. I mean, I figure if both are the same thing, they'd probably run at the same speed. But like I said, I'm a noob when it comes to hardware. What sucks about this though is that because this is a PAL console being run off a PAL TV, you can't speed the game up. So you're basically stuck with the game being this slow, which is a shame really, because I tried to I actually bought a PAL boost to see if I can get it to work. I tried it and all it did was make the screen black and white, so yeah. You also notice I'm not particularly good at 1942, but there you go, just the way it is. The controller isn't perfect, the D-pad, it's a bit of an arse to actually move diagonally. Well, in some games it does at least, or at least, you know, games that actually allow you to move diagonally. Obviously games like Super Mario Bros. Don't have this problem, but yeah. You do also get turbo buttons on the controller, like I said in the full review, but anyway, on for the next game, which is Arkanoid. And yeah, for some odd reason there's a bit of graphical glitch on the title screen. I've got no idea why that is, but yeah, player one ready. I'm sure you all know what Arkanoid is. You know, it's that game where you are a paddle hitting balls with it. And that... oh, D-pad's a bit loud. Wasn't like this before. Yeah, you'll notice that the build quality of the console is not great. And because this game's a pain in the arse to control, well, it's not so much a pain in the arse to control as it is as the controls are limited. But yeah, sometimes you're simply forced to either miss or collect power-ups because the ball is in the wrong place. See, like the L power-up earlier, I really wanted to get it, but I couldn't because the game doesn't allow you to speed up or slow down the paddle, which they really should have done, but they sadly don't. They did fix this in Arkanoid 2, but that was well, the version that they released on the Famicom was never released outside Japan, so a lot of people didn't get to experience that. So let's collect the L, which I had earlier anyway, and let's collect the, I think that's the M, so I think that's stuff with multiple, and I'm died, so let's go on to the next game. Yeah, I'm resetting the button on my feet because I just feel like it. Next up is Aladdin 3, which disappointingly is not the Hummer Team Pirate. Instead it's actually Magic Carpet 1001 off the what's it called? The Caltron 6-in-1. Except for some odd reason they cut the title screen out. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I mean, I know it's not the same game title as it is on the menu, but there was a hack of Magic Carpet 1001 called Aladdin 3, so I don't know. The game itself it's not that bad, but at the same time it's not that great. There's nothing special about it. In fact, you could say that for a lot of the shooters on this multi-cop. They're not bad, but there's nothing special about them. Next up is Argus, and remember what that statement was I just said? Well, you could say the same for this game, because yeah, there really isn't much you can say about this one. You have the sort of missile which you can launch to destroy objects on the ground. The problem that you will see here is that these grey blocks, when I first saw these I thought you could fly over them, but if you do then you kind of like crash into them, which is kind of confusing because it looks like they're part of the background, or at least to me they do. The game itself isn't that bad, but as you may notice just there, the hit detection is a bit off, as every now and then you'll get hit by a bullet and you'll just survive anyway. I don't get that. You also get when you complete a level in this game, at the end you have to like land the plane, kind of like in Top Gun. And anyway, let's move on to Addis Land. I've got no idea why they call it Addis Land on the menu, but this is actually Adventure Island, which is a good game in case you didn't know. I'll just have a quick go at it here. As you can see, you play as Master Higgins himself, or well, I think it's called Takahashi in the Japanese version, but whatever. I call him Master Higgins because that's an awesome name. And yes, as you may notice, it's a pretty simple game and it's a pretty awesome one. It's one of the best games on here in my opinion. It's a bit slow thanks to PAL TVs, but there we go. That's kind of like an issue I'll have to fix when I buy a real Famicom. As you can see, you ride on a skateboard, and there is a lot of stuff to avoid. Okay, the snake didn't shoot a worm at me or whatever it is that it normally does. And yes, invincibility. I also like how you can like collect hammers that just magically appear from giant eggs. So what kind of birds do they have on this island? By birds I don't mean women. So I can imagine the kind of birds you get on any island, or, well, any tropical island. But I'm not going to go there because I don't feel like it. Not much more to say about this game really, other than it's awesome and you should play it. So let's move on to game number 7, I think. ASC2. I don't know why they call it ASC2. This is actually Penguin Kun Wars, which is made by a company called ASC2. I'm not sure why they didn't call it Wars on the menu, but whatever. Let's put some initials in. And yeah, as you may notice, the controller's pretty loud. Isn't that great? Yeah, so if I enter Pirate Gaming Heavy here, if I may typing something in. Oh no, I'm gonna lose. Now, some people like this game, but oh no, to be honest, I feel this game is a bit wasted. Because the major problem with it is that the whole point of like actually winning this game is that you have to throw the balls where the opponent is throwing them. You're really in sync with the opponent because of the way the game's designed. It's also, and if you get hit, it's pretty much game over, from what in my experience at least. And even if you knock the opponent down, half the time you can't even like knock him, like you can't even throw the balls away because of the way the game's designed. I never really understood why this game was so great. Oh no, I never really seen what was so great about it, to be honest. Some people would disagree with me on this, but whatever, I disagree with them. And I just died, so let's move on to the next game. Arabian, which incidentally is not Aladdin 3 or whatever. It is actually Super Arabian. Unfortunately, this game is not very super, as I'll explain why. Now, for the first couple of levels, this game is actually not that bad. Basically, you go around collecting jars with letters on them to spell out words. So, on that standpoint, it's alright. But, there is one major problem. But, the game does present several major problems which rear their ugly head later on. And for the first 2 levels, this game is alright. Well, for the first 2 pages, rather, as this game calls them. I mean, it's challenging enough. Although, one problem is that your attack sucks because the hit detection just doesn't work half the time. And I don't want to spell hose. I want to spell horse. Goddammit. See, you'll notice that your attack really doesn't have all that much range. Although, granted, your sprite is pretty small, so that kind of explains why. And yeah, now here is where the game goes to hell. Is page 3. I'm not going to make any references to the sun here because I don't feel like it. And this game, yeah. First thing you'll notice that the graphics are a complete mess. A complete mishmash of blue and yellow, which is not particularly pretty. The second thing you'll notice is that the magic carpets are a complete pain in the arse. The third thing you'll notice is that it's practically impossible to dodge those enemies because the hit detection with the kick sucks. I mean, if you jump in the air and try to do the kick attack, it'll hit about 1/10 of the time because the hit detection is so poor. And you also notice there, I tried to, like, for whatever reason, to go to the other side of the screen when you're on a carpet, you have to jump. I've got no idea who thought this would be a good idea, but it's completely retarded and it shouldn't have been, and they really could have programmed that much better than they did. Wow, I actually hit something that time. There's some poison. Oh, and apparently those enemies can jump. You know, they say white men can't jump, but, well, there isn't a white guy I'm playing as, so that joke wouldn't even apply. Thankfully, you can scroll enemies off the screen with a magic carpet, but that's probably the only good thing about them. And yes, let's just spam the turbo button to kill that enemy, because I don't want to get killed by it at this point. And yeah, the collision detection sucks. Like, I quite clearly grabbed onto that vine there, but for whatever reason it didn't even grab onto it because the collision detection sucks too. Screw this game, it sucks.